What's happening, YouTube? It's Phil. I'm back again with another vlog. I've had some extra time, so I've been trying to spit out more of these because I really like doing them, to be honest. And I feel like talking to you guys about things kind of helps me figure out how I feel about things, if that makes any sense. Anyways, regardless of the inner workings of my mind, today I want to talk about finding your own style in cinematography and what that means. How are you gonna be telling your stories is probably the most important thing. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of really pretty stuff. And just because you like something and decide to pay homage to it by emulating it to a certain extent doesn't necessarily mean you're copying it. And that's okay sometimes. It's okay to kind of see a shot that you love and try to build off of it. But at the same time, it's not okay to just pick, 10 filmmakers or 10 content creators, pick 10 shots from each, one shot from each of them, and then put together something and say, yo, this is mine. Technically, yes, it is yours because you've taken 10 different things and put them together, and the act of putting them together makes it yours. But you want to be able to try and explore different approaches to telling visual stories, right? Example would be, if you love canted angles, which I don't, to be completely honest, I'm not a big fan. It might be the fact that when I was in film school, everybody wanted to shoot Dutch angles, another word for canted angles, and everything was always like, ooh, it's Dutch, it must be something interesting. That scarred me for life. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't seen canted angles used properly to great effect. It's something that I tend to shy away from, and maybe that's something I should think about more. Maybe I should explore canted angles. But if you like canted angles, if it's something that speaks to you as a visual element, use them. Don't be scared. If you like filming things upside down, do it. If you really enjoy masking transitions, do it. But don't always do the same thing. Explore. Play with your colors. Play with how you approach a scene. Just because two people on camera are speaking doesn't mean there's only one way to shoot that dialogue scene. You don't have to just counter shot and do talking heads. You could shoot the entire thing on a wide, where all you see is them and they're tiny in the frame. Maybe you're trying to build something. You got to think about placing your camera to further your story. If there's tension, if it's uncomfortable, if the world that they're in is dangerous, maybe you want to stay on that wide and you don't want to come in. Or maybe if they're building up to something terrible, maybe you want to slowly track in, because motion is basically the camera's way of relaying emotion to some extent. So you can make the same 2-3 lines of dialogue feel completely different depending on how you shoot them. You can shoot them in hyper close-ups and make it feel really intense. You can shoot it on the wide and make it feel confusing and why am I in this wide? Is there something off frame? You can shoot it obstructed through brush or through other objects, and that can make the viewer feel like maybe they're being watched. Like, these are tried and tested approaches, but at the same time, they still work. It just, how can you take that tried and tested thing, that approach to something, and make it your own, right? So we're not always looking to reinvent the wheel. Fine, 100%. And the idea that everything's been done and there's no more stories to tell, I will not accept that. There's always something new to be told. And a lot of that, the new something that you can tell, is how you tell it, right? So an old story told in a different way is a new story. And I'm not telling you go out there and take, Greek tragedies and spin them into like gangster novels on film. I'm just saying that there's always a new way to do something. Right now in the industry, on the internet as a whole, low contrast, desaturated colors tinging towards blue-ish, those are the LUT packs that everyone's selling. That's what's popular, and I really like it. Don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoy this color palette and this color profile. I live in Quebec, I live in Montreal, and I find that Quebec cinema tends to have this very blue kind of tone, like a cold tone. I'm not sure why, but at the same time, just because a whole group of people is doing something doesn't make it something you shouldn't do. You can take that and you can go the Sam Raimi route where, there's hot and cold colors coming out of every corner. I'm just saying that color correction shouldn't rely primarily on what you think looks cool. It should rely primarily on what makes sense in the scene. Is it early morning? Is it late afternoon? Are you trying to emulate a time of day? That's one way to approach it. Or if you're not, and it's more of an abstract, maybe like a corporate video, which is kind of a montage to music, you can play with those colors and you can go balls to the wall. If you want to have a black and white scene, have a black and white scene. What I want you to take away from what I'm trying to ramble on about is that color can convey so much more than just a visual style. Think about that. Just take a second, step away from it, watch the whole thing in its monochromatic flat gray log, and say, okay, What do I need to punch up here? What am I trying to say? Think about it. But at the same time, don't mess up their skin tones, because no one wants to watch a bunch of Martians unless it's a movie about Mars, right? Another thing that's important is framing. Framing your subjects can tell you so much. And now a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is based in fiction, filmmaking, but at the same time it applies to everything. Wides. You know, I feel like ever since the DSLR revolution, everyone wants shallow depth of field. Like, it's so cinematic, shallow depth of field, and that comes from the fact that for years, unless you're shooting on like prime lenses with really good cameras, all you could get was deep focus on these like little camcorders that we used to use. But there's something very beautiful and something magical about deep focus. First of all, it's really difficult to achieve indoors. Like, from a technical standpoint, it's hard to do. You need a lot of light. But the sun is outputting all that light. If you're outdoors, you can shoot in like good light. You can shoot incredible deep focus scenes. Deep focus is something not to be just forgotten or left for establishing shots. You can shoot extremely moving sequences. Slow motion, high frame rates, they're incredible to use sometimes. I used to only shoot in 24 because I found it to be more cinematic. I still never shoot in 30 unless I absolutely have to. I just don't like how it looks. But 60, 120, and 240, just wow, the things you can do. Just even to like shoot in 60 so you can slow down slightly to just get rid of a bit of jitter that you may have caused by accident. Slow motion is such an amazing tool. But don't overuse it. Not everything needs to be epic and in slow motion. Slow motion doesn't make it more interesting, or does it? That's the thing. You gotta know where to draw the line. Ramping speed, playing with the speed, it has to do with your visual style. So maybe slow motion intercut with ramps of speed. Maybe that's something that works for you, but it doesn't mean you need to do it all the time. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's a nice little cherry on top. But sometimes you don't need it. So just don't always assume you need to shoot in slow motion to make it look cinematic. Because I know a lot of the biggest YouTubers in our niche, they love to shoot slow motion and they get beautiful results. I'm not arguing that for a second. But just because they're doing it all the time and their stuff looks so cinematic to you doesn't mean that emulating it will make your stuff cinematic. It'll just make it a copy of what they did. So it's important to use it when you need to use it. It's a tool that you have in your little case. You pull it out when you need it. You put it back when you don't. And it's as simple as that, really. So this was a quick video. It's a request I got. I'm not really sure how to talk about a visual style, considering I feel like I'm still finding my own visual style. And I can see my own style slowly changing throughout all my work. And I really feel like it's important that your last project be your best project and the most representative of you, no matter what that stage is in your career. The last thing you did should be the best thing you did, and if that ever changes, you need to reassess what you're doing. Most important thing is to shoot. Get out there and shoot. Just shoot as much as you can. Shoot vlogs, shoot corporate stuff, just shoot films on the weekend with your friends if you still can. Find your style. Go out there and just keep shooting and find the representation of you in a frame. What is it about a video that will make it identifiable as yours? As, wow, that's John's, or that's Leia's, that's Chloe's shot, that's Peter's, that's Phil's, right? I will be posting another video shortly. The next thing we want to talk about is the importance of sound, and because I'm a video guy, I'm bringing my sound guy in to talk with me about it, so it'll be like a kind of a discussion, a little different than the last couple of things I've done. So my name is Phil, I just filmed this, I hope you like it. If you did, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it, it makes me feel warm inside, and I'll see you in the next video, which I will remember to make because I remembered to make this one. Like I said in the last video, if you haven't seen those, go back and check them out. Bye. Yeah.
You got everything though?
Well, I think so, yeah. Okay. I'm like a little discombobulated right now, so I hope we got everything. Okay. We did it so many times. Actually, can you prompt him?
Yeah.
Just deliver your line from there.
Oh, okay.